sisters. This is the ISUPK out of Las Vegas under Commander John Yohana. Started out 125th Street of Harlem, New York. My name is Officer Rock, and today is the Tuesday Brotherhood class. Today, as you can see on the title, we're gonna go in on how regeneration is real. Bear with me 1 second. I ask that y'all do the same. I'm going through and liking and sharing the classes. It's important that we all like and share these videos so that we can push our videos and push this truth out to the four corners of the earth. So like it. Finding that. So something I just want to talk about before we actually start dipping into the scriptures that I have set for today is what's going on, what had happened down at Capitol Hill. And it's kind of to go along with the theme or the subject of today of regeneration. You know, I'm just going to touch on it just a little bit, mostly because Commander General Yohana and General Mahaiman and many of the other mighty men above me have already hit it themselves quite well and hard. But just in the spirit of, or, like I said, just on the subject of regeneration, just wanted to bring out how during the fall of Rome, this was the same exact thing that had happened. The way that basically the Romans set their government was pretty much on hills, and of course, because there's nothing new under the sun, and Esau also has no doggone culture. He can't make up anything for himself. He continued that tradition that he did in Rome, and with Capitol Hill. That's why it's called Capitol Hill, and that's why our government is, that's where they gather, is on that Capitol Hill. You know what I'm saying? And everything that happened, what was that, last week or the week before with the storm at Capitol? No, it's the one. That's the same exact stuff that, like, literally the same exact scenario that had happened in Rome at the beginning of the fall of Rome. And the reason why that's important to bring out and also understand is because America is built the same exact way as Rome, and America is doing the same exact things as Rome. We're literally able to watch Rome catch back up on fire all over again. That's and right. And as Israel, we get to watch it burn. But to go even a little bit more about it as well. Can anybody in here tell me just real quick, what was the situation for the Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans at the time of Rome? What was life basically like for us at that time? Can anybody answer that for me? Can you, young man?
My life was basically hell.
Okay, you own it. Like, you pretty much said it, but can you give me like some more details on how our life was pretty much hell for an Israelite in Rome? And remember, stay on subject of what we even talking about today in the first place, and the correlation I created between Rome and America. What do you think life was like for the Israelites in Rome? What is life like here in America for the Israelites? Yeah. Okay, why? Give me details on that.
We're treated differently.
Treated differently, like how? Like, what do you mean by that? Because
we're profiled as criminals.
Okay, we're profiled as criminals. You got anything else?
Also, dealers.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like we're profiled as drug dealers?
Yeah.
Just you're following up with profiling. Okay. Does anybody else have anything, sir?
We at the bottom of society. Pretty much, we're second-class citizens, meaning like we don't. We're like the outcasts of society. We make up the criminal population. We're the workers. You know what I'm saying? We're everything that makes the economy boom, but have no real power.
Right. No, facts.
And we were probably a part of their political system as well, but not nothing that's what I'm saying. Like I know probably later on we probably got to higher ranks, but we were probably in like the lower ranks, like kind of how we are in America.
No, right.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
we have a taste of the power,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it ain't true power like how the Romans have, or Esau
Right.
has today.
Right. Like
Right.
you know how most of the senators are white, or you know what I'm saying, white
Right.
people or whatever, or heathens or whatever, and the House of Representatives is where the black people, but the Senate has
Right.
it's like more of a higher authority over the House of Representatives, more of a prestige part of the political system.
Right. Okay. You had something, sis?
Did you say? Can you just repeat that question? I was trying to get my phone off.
So basically, what the question is I'm asking y'all what was life like for the Israelites in Rome in comparison today? That's basically what the question is.
If I may, basically it was the same thing. Just the way
Right.
we're living now is just how we was living then.
Right.
With everybody ruling over us and us being under the bottom, and then having the so-called leadership doing just what they're doing now. Just
Right.
constantly selling us out.
Exactly. No, right. Now, with that being said as well, can anybody tell me what was the same or even different with how the brothers and sisters dealt with each other at the time of Rome in comparison to today? Can you tell me? Go ahead, young man.
Then they
And speak up, please, Baba Kashaf, for the so that they can hear your answer.
Then they would, if you committed any, like if you committed adultery, you were stoned. Then, as of now, you weren't.
No, okay. I mean, all right. So that wasn't necessarily the question. But the question is I'm talking about the brotherhood that the Israelites had for each other in the time of Rome. How do you think that brotherhood was in comparison to modern day? Like if there was any differences, name me a difference. But if it was pretty much the same, tell me how it was the same. Okay, no sweat. I mean, that's exactly why we come into class in the first place. We'll look online now, sis. I saw that you had your hand raised. Did you have anything?
I just think that we had a more cohesive brotherhood during that time than we have now. And the reason I say that is because when we came from there to over here, we had a more cohesive brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Until like now, it's so torn, so scattered. So how do I say this? We follow the laws, I do believe, a lot better than we are doing right at this moment.
You think so? Because
Yeah.
now, mind you, who had came at the time of Rome as well to teach the lost sheep. So in other words, I basically gave you a little taste of what it was then in comparison to now, that being the lost sheep. So at that time, we were still considered lost sheep of Israel. So there's so what you're saying I will say that I'll agree with you where we might be in a little bit more extreme on the laws, considering the fact that, those that, today, they call, the Old Testament followers today. I don't see any of them, casting any type of stones or, doing blood sacrifices or, anything of that nature. But they were then, right? But the focus, my question is more so on the brotherhood aspect. And so because there was already division at that time. Did you have anything, sir? Salaki. Okay. So because that we had, that division at that time, just like how we do now. And then also keep in mind that today is a modern day Rome. It is a modern day Egypt. And what was going on, or what was the people like in Egypt and in Rome? It was basically a melting pot, just like the United States today, a big, huge melting pot. Where, this is the great power that everybody wants to, the great land of power that everybody wants to come to for opportunities. Salakia, in a better life, it's basically the same exact thing in Egypt and in Rome. You come and serve under me and under my rule. I mean, now you dealing with, the strongest force, the strongest land, the strongest, Salakia, the strongest, military, the strongest everything, the best everything that the world knows at that time. And that's basically what America is today. And so, with that, with everything already being the same already, with the little small stepping stones that I've already set out, it's already safe to say, and we already know, especially since that's what Yahushua was trying to teach in the time of the Roman Empire, when, Rome was on top, our brotherhood was divided, where we basically loved the Romans more than we loved ourselves.
So, Salakia, sir.
Go ahead. If I may, just before you continue, just make sure you raise your hand, sis. But go ahead. No sweat.
So, if you put it like that, then it's fair to say that basically it's the same thing, because Rome was as we are now before it failed.
Exactly. Now, can you tell me why I'm even trying to make that comparison in itself?
I mean, I would think because it's time for Babylon to fall so that Yahushua can come and do what needs to be done. I mean, because those empires, they all got to a certain point, and then the Most High brought them down. And it's like with the U.S., it's gotten to this certain point, and it's falling. I mean, it's truly falling. Except this time, Yahushua comes, he's going to remain.
Right.
At that time when he came, he did what he did, but he didn't remain there.
Okay. Now you're not necessarily wrong, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. You think you got it, young man? Sir, you want to?
No, go ahead.
I mean, look at what the subject of the class is that regeneration is real. Regeneration is so real that even empires come back. The entire spirit of an entire, I mean, we'll just keep using the word empire, that in itself regenerated. And what does an empire give birth to? An empire cannot be an empire without what? Without the people in it. So basically, Rome gave birth to them Roman children. Just like, Egypt gave birth to those, those Egyptian children. America is giving birth to, these American children, whom of which have the American spirit, just like how Rome had the Roman spirit and Egypt had that Egyptian spirit. Go ahead, sis. You got a question?
So it's the little horn. Rome, you said the regeneration. Did Rome give birth to that little horn? Remember that little?
I know what you're talking about. 7 horns on the dragon.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm not completely. I know what you're talking about. I have heard the breakdown on it. I'm gonna check with the men above me to get a proper breakdown. So, matter of fact, let me just jot that down real quick. Salakia. So, like I said, I'm not too familiar on how to give you a proper breakdown. So with that being said, I'm gonna get you the answer to give you a proper breakdown, and if you like, we can revisit that next Tuesday in the beginning. That's how we'll start the class next Tuesday, or you can save it for either General Mahyman on Thursday or Officer Shabal on Thursday. Y'all got any questions before we kick it off? All right, Most High Christ. So we're gonna start off with the Book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 28 and 30. I'm gonna get my Salaki. The Book of Psalms, chapter 104, and we're gonna read verses 28 and 30.
The Book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 28. That thou givest them, they gather. Thou openest thy hand, they are filled with good.
Now, just so y'all know, the thou that it's speaking about right now, this is talking about what the Most High does. So, the Most High gives them what basically what we gather, the things that we get. The Most High basically is basically saying that the Most High is providing for us. Go ahead.
They are filled with good. Verse 29. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled.
Okay.
Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust.
Now, okay, so far between those two scriptures, that's already letting you know that the Most High, not only does he do the good things in your life where he provides what you need, and basically so that you can live, prosper, so that you can eat, have shelter. The Most High does that. But then also when it's time for you to die, it's basically the Most High who decides that in the first place, because everything has to return back to whence it came. Go ahead, read on. Verse 30.
Verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created.
Read that one more time for me.
Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created.
So the Most High sends forth your spirit. And when that happens, basically, and where the spirit is being sent is to the earth. And so when that happens, what is that base? What happens at that time that your spirit is sent to the earth? It's real simple. We all go through it. Go ahead, sis.
A sister gives birth to a baby.
Not necessarily the birth, but it's your conception. Conception, Salaki. You've been conceived now. That's when you return. Go ahead.
And thou renewest the face of the earth.
So now you renew. Now let's break down that word renew. First and foremost, read. Young man, go ahead and look up. Just look up read. The prefix read, and tell me what that reads. And then after that, get new.
The prefix re means again.
It means again. Now go ahead. I mean, we all know what new means, but we're gonna break it down just for those, because you know what? There's always somebody that has a question, and for whatever reason, they might be a little shy about asking certain questions. So we're gonna go ahead and just already answer for them. Go ahead when you got it.
Not existing before, made, introduced, or discovered recently, or now for the first time.
Okay, so how can you be, not existing before, but then also, redone again? Read what it says again so that I say it, correctly.
Not existing before, made, introduced, or discovered recently, or
No,
now?
read.
Oh, read.
For read.
Sorry.
No sweat. No sweat. You too wild.
Again.
So how can you not exist before but be again? Go ahead. No, you got it. Go ahead.
Because the body's changed.
Because the body changed, and what also changes with it as well.
The time in which the body comes, you did. Like
Let me
the
ask you
time
this: do you remember what you did in your past life?
Not at all.
So what changed as well?
Well, knowledge, my mind.
Your knowledge, your mind. You did you want to add something?
Personality.
Now your spirit does remain, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, your spirit remains. That's why I only asked for one other thing, and that was your mind. So your body and your mind. One way to think about it, and that's why this is one reason why nobody should be afraid of death, first and foremost, especially if you Yasha'Allah, if you Israel. It's because we understand regeneration, and with old age, what happens? Your body starts to break down and ache. It might become harder to get up. Your mind, your memory, holding on, retaining short-term and or long-term memories might that might begin to slip away. But wouldn't you, as someone who is unable to run around with their grandchildren, wouldn't it be safe to say that that grandparent, that elder would like to be able to run around just like they watch their grandchildren again? I mean, I know I would. I know these injuries that I have with my body, like I would like them for to go away. If I gotta wait for a new body, then so be it. I'll do this work now and then get that new body later. You know what I'm saying? So let's read that last part again. Sorry, Baba Kashah.
The whole verse.
No, just the last one. And thou renewest.
And thou renewest the face of the earth.
So you renew the face of the earth, and you bring that prefix with the actual word renew. You basically all over again. You start all over again. You retain that same spirit, and in fact, where was it at? Now you know what? Near my Salakia, your spirit, when it goes up, it gets faced by the Most High to face judgment for what you have done in that life. Then you get sent back forth into the earth to see that judgment through with a whole new body. Everybody wants to talk about how they want a clean slate, so I'm a move to Idaho. I'm a move to to Africa, get a whole new slate. Man, just fix yourself in this life. Get yourself ready for the following life, so you ain't got to worry about being born blind or with a cleft lip or 15 fingers on one doggone hand or just one arm, whatever, what have you. You know what I'm saying? Because for all that could be the judgment of which you are born with. Y'all understand? All right, so we're gonna drop that, and we're gonna go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 34. And give me a minute to get with you, Baba Kashah, if you get that before Salaki.
Say it one more time,
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Oh. Or maybe that's Ecclesiasticus Salaki. I don't think I wrote that down correctly. Let me look. No, that's 3. Hold on. I think I wrote that incorrectly. Oh no, Salakia. It's second Esdras, 14 and 35. Salakia. I read that completely wrong. Okay, I see what I did there. Salakia. So it's the book of second Esdras, chapter 14, verse 35. Salakia about that.
The book of Second Esdras, chapter 14, verse 35.
Start at 34, Salakia.
Verse 34.
Kind of.
Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
So now, before we continue to 35, how can you get mercy if you already dead? Now, mind you, and this is another, in another class and another time, we'll go into a full breakdown of the difference between heaven and hell. But mind you, just to give you a little quick little synapse, heaven and hell isn't something that you go to necessarily after death. Now, young man, can you tell me why I say not necessarily after death? And what context, like, what do I mean by that? Can you tell me?
Because you kind of experience during your lifetime.
What do you, okay, give me, like, how do we kind of, it is, and in fact, it's not kind of experience it.
We do.
How do we experience heaven and hell? Give me an example of heaven and hell. And you had said what? Repeat that one more time and speak up, Baba Kashad.
That we do experience hell and heaven in our lifetime.
So now, is it in just one lifetime? Is it
every lifetime?
Now, okay, can you explain to me why we experience heaven and hell in our lifetime? Go ahead.
The reason why we experience hell is because of what we're put through by the other nations, how we're profiled and everything, and untreated fairly. And the reason for heaven is because when we're together with our brothers, it's you don't have any worry about everything. It's always a good time. It's
a taste of heaven, right?
Yeah.
You know what? As a young man, that's a Tawab answer. Give that brother a hand just real quick. That's a very good question. Or good answer, Salakia. Can anybody else add on to that? All right, so I'll give it to y'all. Heaven and hell is here on earth simultaneously. And the way that it's here simultaneously for you to actually give witness and even an example of the heaven and hell is look at what you all are seeing on TV. Where was it, Salakia, sir? Was it in 2013 or was it 2014 when that sister, you brought it up, Salakia, you brought it out in class, I believe last week, sis, about how that sister had her little one in the backseat of her car and drove near the Capitol Hill, correct? And what happened to her?
She got killed.
She got shot and killed with her child in the back, correct?
In the backseat.
Now, by any chance, do you know how old that baby was?
I think she was maybe 4, 5.
4 or 5 years old. And nobody has any type of regard for not only, this sister's life, but the fact that did the child live herself, him or herself, and had to watch and survive after watching their mother die. But yet, hearing, as soon as 2021 kick off, Esau, these modern day Romans basically, they upset because the president that they, voted for wasn't elected. They didn't get their, democracy didn't work in the favor of these so-called Romans. So they got upset. And what did they do? They went and stormed Capitol Hill. But, I didn't see nobody get, none of them people got shot and killed in front of their children. You had a bold, Salaki, but yeah, that bold ass, dog of a white woman who, tried to, press the boundaries of where she can go. And, she got popped. in my opinion, Most High in Christ. That, you know, that's me. The devil deserve it in the first place. But I mean, that's nothing in comparison to. She was just driving, right, and came up to a barricade. In comparison to storming the Capitol Hill, an official government building. Go ahead, sir. You got something?
I was gonna ask. So you saying the same Capitol Hill that they went and ran in, she drove up to and got shot?
There was a barricade that was set up in 2013, 2014 that the sister came up to.
But Capitol Hill, the same building?
God, no, kind of God.
Oh, okay.
You had something, sis?
So like, if I'm not mistaken, and I will go research it, but she was disgruntled about something, and she was coming to DC to, you know, like raise hell about it. But she also had some mental issues, so they say. But yeah, she came and she wanted to run through the barricade, and they literally opened fire on this. She had no weapons. The car was the weapon, and she just, you know, and then it was like she kind of made a U-turn thing, and they opened fire on her. But the Capitol Hill thing that you were talking about, they shot the one Edomite woman.
But where was she though?
But she was inside.
She was already inside.
Yeah.
So they was allowed to get past whatever barricade that they had, whatever walls, whatever, you know, first line of defense that they already had established. She was able to penetrate that before she even got shot. I'm just making sure that I'm correct, right? Okay, Most High, go ahead. Proceed, sis. Salaki.
And so, I mean, I got a chance to actually watch, you know, the whole Capitol Hill thing. And she got shot, and it was, everybody went into their little uproar and everything. But these people were standing there. They had permission to use rubber bullets. They didn't use any bullets on any of those people except that one woman. They watched them tear out window panes, and they watched them beat the one police. They watched this stuff going on, and we couldn't walk down the street. I mean, brothers was sitting out on the stoop, and they drugged them and beat them because they didn't have their coronavirus mask on.
Right. Anyway, Salaki, if I may, just really quick, did anybody see anybody with a coronavirus? You know, with that doctor mask or whatever you call it, that mask on at Capitol Hill? I don't think I saw anything. I even saw a dude completely, you know, he was shirtless. Looked like a straight buffoon. You had something, young man?
I mean, there were some, but very, very few.
But I mean, what is the protocol though? You come into the public. What are you supposed to have? What are you supposed to do?
And
supposed
they
to
were smoking in Capitol Hill.
They smoking in Capitol Hill. You had some sense?
So you're supposed to wear a mask and be 6 feet apart.
Did anybody see anybody 6 feet apart? And then to make it even, you know, Salagi, you know, bring it out a little bit more, they over there defecating in somebody's office. Number one and number two. I mean, I thought we had a coronavirus issue. Isn't that basically setting up for an Ebola outbreak to start out of Capitol Hill?
Right.
I pray that is what happens. And I pray you understand why I pray that happens. Let Ground Zero be Capitol Hill for a new strand of Ebola. You had something else, sis?
I just was gonna say that I counted, I think brother was watching it with me, counted seven Israelites in it. It was 7 Israelites among them, and one was a female. And something else, I forgot it. I'm old.
Okay, yeah, no sweat, sis. All right, so let's move on and read. Did we finish up 30? Yeah, we finished up 34. So just a quick little recap on 34. Read that again, Baba Kasash, sir.
God. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 34.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
Okay, pause just real quick. Break that there, just real quick. Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding, young man, do you know what it means to subdue your own understanding?
No, sorry.
All right, do you know what it means to subdue? You got a powerful machine in your hand. Go ahead, sir. You had something.
I was gonna answer what it
We're gonna get the definition, and then I'll let you answer, sir. Salagi.
Overcome, quieten, or bring under control.
Therefore, if so be that ye will quieten your own understanding. You understand what that says now? What that's saying right there now? Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just saying, pretty much it's saying, you give up your own understanding,
right?
Meaning, just like, we tell brothers and sisters when you coming into this truth, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you thought you knew, you understand, you gotta be born again, you gotta relearn, you know what I'm saying? You
right.
Get
right.
things that you know what I'm saying, you thought you knew about, Most High, and about, the Bible, and about, the Israelites, or whatever small form of understanding that you have, so, the scripture is important for that, for you to be able to, pretty much what it's saying is to be able to obtain that mercy and be kept alive after death.
Right.
Right. And you want to die with a new understanding. You don't want to die with that same, understanding that you came into the world. Like, that America loves everybody and we're all created equal and all. You're going to learn sooner than, if you ain't learned about the Capitol Hill situation, that we ain't equal, you know what I'm saying?
Man.
It's a different strokes for different folks. Then, you know what I'm saying? You ain't paying attention. You ain't got your eyes open.
Facts.
Pretty much watching TV blind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that showed you that, you understand, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Americas that we live in, other than our oppressors. You know what I'm saying?
Kind. Anybody else had anything else? Go ahead, sis.
So, I was just gonna piggyback on what brother was saying. Basically, to sum it all up, if you just join the UPK and obey the statutes and laws of the Most High, then this mercy belongs to you.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. So now we understand that first line. Therefore, it's if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding. You give up your own understanding. What you thought, as an officer had just put it, ever so beautifully, that you just give up what you thought you knew about these scriptures, what you thought that, hell, you even knew about this world in the first place.
All right.
You give all that up. Read on, Baba Kasha.
And reform your hearts.
So, and reform your hearts. Can you tell me what that means?
Change your heart.
Okay. How do you change your heart? First, what is your heart?
Your mind.
Okay. So you reform your mind. How do you reform your mind? Explain that to me. Explain that to me as someone who don't know what in the world, the UPK even talking about. Explain that to me.
Basically just changing your mind, like whether
So change my mind, instead of I want a rocky road, I want to get, strawberry ice cream. Like, what you mean change my mind?
like how people today go with the religion, change their mind on how to convert to a different religion, basically, I guess.
Say that one more time, Salagi.
How people like today, when they practice, like other people that practice religion, they convert to another religion. They change their whole lifestyle for that religion.
Okay.
Even maybe their culture.
So, okay, but let's stay on topic of what we're reading. How are you supposed to reform your heart, or as we already elaborated on, how do you reform your mind? So we already understand that we're supposed to give up our understanding of what we thought. So how are we supposed to change our minds? Salaki. How are you supposed to change your mind? I get that you understand, you know, how you could change your mind, but tell me how you supposed to change your mind.
To commit
To commit to what?
to whatever you want to change your mind to, I guess you're saying.
So what you're saying is that you should change your mind to something that you just want to. So basically something you can change your mind from something that is meaningless to something else that's meaningless. Basically, like the example I said, you know, you change your mind from Rocky Road to strawberry ice cream. That don't matter. That's just a satisfaction for the moment. What about satisfaction for eternity? Satisfaction of the soul? How would you do that? Satisfaction for you. Go ahead.
Committing to law, statutes, and commands, following the Lord, fearing Him.
Right. Exactly. So you change your mind, you change your heart to basically start following. You drop what you thought you knew about all of this, about the world, about the Bible, and you decide to change your mind to start following law, statutes, and commandments. What's another word? If you were to put that one phrase in one word, what would that one word be? Can you tell me?
Can you repeat the phrase again?
Okay, that sentence, right? You know, actually, you take them two little phrases in that one verse, right? Therefore, if so be that you will subdue your own understanding, so you get rid of your own understanding and reform your heart, or as we came to explain, your mind. If you were to sum all that up into one word, what would that one word be?
I'm not sure.
No sweat. Anybody else in the room can tell me? Anybody online?
What's the question again?
Okay, so we still on 34, sir. Just them first two parts from therefore ending at hearts. Reading that from A to B. What is, if you were to sum that up in one word, what would that one word be? You think you got it, sis?
Acceptance?
No. In fact, Salakia, sir, go ahead and read the rest of that after hearts, and we will revisit that question.
Ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
Now, I want to give y'all a hint, but I'm going to hold off on the hint for a little bit longer just to see if anybody online will say anything. But going back to y'all in the classroom, how do you sum all that up into one word? Go ahead, young man. Go ahead.
If you follow and understand the laws, statutes, and commandments, and fear the Lord, and change your heart to that, you will have eternal life.
Okay, but give me one word. I want one word. Go ahead, sir.
Brotherhood?
La'ah.
Regeneration?
La'ah.
Believe?
La'ah. Is anybody watching, following the YouTube chat by any chance? Is there anything on there? I'm gonna give y'all a few more moments to think about it. You got to get rid of what you thought you understood, so that your heart, your mind can be reformed. What is that in one word? How do we even go ahead, sis?
Change.
You close. You coming close now. Go ahead, sir.
Rebirth?
La'ah. Go ahead.
Renewed?
La'ah. All right. Read that last from ye shall be kept alive. Read that into the end of that verse.
Ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
So how do you do that in the first place? How do you obtain that in the first place? What did Yahushua teach us that we had to do to obtain mercy and to be kept alive? Hold on. It's a lie, dude. Because now I know you know. Young man, I'm going to use you as an example real quick. Is that too wild with you? This young man, this is his third or fourth time coming to class. All right? First and foremost, let's get this brother a hand. He's starting to come. Most High Christ. But what is he in the process of doing? Go ahead, sis.
Learning.
He's learning to do what?
To follow, to obey.
To obey what?
The statutes, the laws, and the commands of the Most High.
So in turn, what is he ceasing to do?
He's ceasing to sin.
He's ceasing to sin. See, now I'm walking you to it a little bit. So with him ceasing to sin, what is he doing?
He's becoming righteous.
He's becoming righteous. Like, come on, mama. Come on, like, come on, sis. Like, bring us home. Bring us home, sis. Like, we like, you coming right there. What do we all have to do in the first place to even become perfect? To begin to become perfect again. Of course, we got to become new creatures. Now I'm done with the hints. Hold on to it. Go ahead. Oh. You too out. Water.
I got a preset for it when we're done.
All right, what kind? Go ahead.
I want to say repent.
Give his brother a hand. In one word, it is repentance. When you give up what you thought you knew about this world, when you give up what you thought about you knew about these scriptures, and you decide to change your mind, because what is the definition of repentance? To change one's mind so that you don't revert back to those old ways of thinking, basically. Give me an example what you could repent from. Go ahead, young man.
Repent from smoking drugs.
Smoking drugs. So you change your mind, you change your understanding of what them potheads love to talk about. Oh, God put weed on the earth. Of course it's okay for me to smoke it. I mean, why don't they say the same thing about cocaine, though? That was, that comes from a natural plant, if I may. But anyways, with the weed thing. But what's the scripture say about smoking weed? It is a sin. It's a transgression of the law. You are wicked if you smoke, period.
Right.
If you put something burning in between your lips, you are transgressing the law, period. You are following the customs of another nation. You are following after another God. So in turn, you breaking the first commandment right there in itself. You worshiping another God. You following after another God. So you said you had something?
I had a precept for that. What you're talking about.
Okay.
It's, in the book of Acts, chapter 3 and 19.
All right, go ahead.
It says, repent, ye therefore, and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Lord.
God, no, exactly. Exactly. And I got another precept. Before we even go into 35, I got a precept I want to bring out. Look up the precept with Yahushua speaking about a new bottle of wine that you put new wine into.
New wine in an old
That you don't put new wine in an old bottle.
New wine in an old vessel, right?
What kind? And then I want to get there with you as well. I believe it's in Matthew.
Yes, Matthew 9 and 17.
9 and 17. All right. go ahead and read that for me when you got it, sir. Or whomever has it. All right, go ahead.
The book of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 17.
All right.
Neither do men put new wine into Salaki. Neither do men put new wine into old bottles.
Right. Okay, so let me stop you right there. Does anybody know what the metaphor, the parable is for that new wine? What is that new wine? What is wine in this parable? Now, let's give me 1 second, Salakia, sir. What is, remember, we're using this is my precept that I'm bringing out with 2nd Esdras 14 and 34, where we just went over getting rid of your new understanding so that you can change your mind, so that essentially you can repent. So with all that said, broken down exactly how I just broke it down, what is that new wine? What is new wine in this parable right here that Yahushua is speaking? Go ahead.
The Spirit of the Most High?
No. Yeah, man, you want to give it a shot?
I'm not sure.
All right, no sweat. Sir, did you want to?
Yeah, it's I would say pretty much our wisdom, law, statutes, and commandments.
You're right, but there's something more specific that I'm looking for. Because that new wine, you got to think, if there's new wine, what's the old wine? And essentially, what's the word I want to use? I want to say coincide, but they're similar to each other. What the new wine is and what the old wine is. Go ahead, sis.
So would the new wine be your thought process, the way you thought about a thing as opposed to the way you think, or the way you saw something as the way you see it now, in the truth now?
Okay, you know what? I'll take that. How about we gonna plug that in? Read that from the top, Baba Kashah.
Neither do men put new wine into old bottles.
So neither, however you enunciate it, do men put new thoughts into old bottles. Because remember, I'm trying to help y'all understand what that wine actually is, right? So that wine, say it again, sis. What is that wine?
I said it was your new thoughts.
Your new thoughts. Because, it's new wine, so it's new thoughts. You don't put new thoughts into an old bottle. Can anyone tell me why? Why you can't put new wine into an old bottle of wine? Can anybody tell me? If you got it, go ahead, sis.
I mean,
You got the floor.
in a literal sense, it would change the taste of the wine. It would make it really, really bitter in most cases.
That's actually not what it is. Can anybody else tell me why? Go ahead, sir.
I mean, it's in the paragraph. It says, Samadi, because you don't want to put new wine into old bottles, because the bottles aren't strong. They're warm. They're, they're full of, they may have leaks or holes where they're not gonna, pretty much. So if you have like new understanding, right?
Okay.
Which new wisdom or whatever you want to call it, same thing, then you're putting it into an old bottle that's full of, that's already, how can I say, like, age has already ran its course. You know what I'm saying? It's not receptive to the wine. It's not gonna, it's not gonna receive the wine the same way a new bottle would.
See, in the beginning, you was on it. I'm gonna go ahead, sis, and then
On that Facebook, because you don't have your phone, it's correct. Princess says, Salakia, your new self, and it
La,
spoils
it doesn't spoil it. La, that's not it. I see that now. The water. No, what happens when you put new wine into a new bottle? There's something that actually
A
happens.
new bottle or an old bottle?
A new wine into a new bottle. That bottle of wine that you bought at the store, its circumference, its fatness, its thickness, that is not originally how that glass was in the first place. Okay? It basically, the fermentation from the wine makes that glass expand. Now, if you were to put, go ahead, we like to drink, especially out here in Las Vegas. We were to put new wine in a bottle that we already, used, that already had wine in it, and closed it up. What's gonna happen naturally? That's new fermentation all over again. That's new carbonation all over again. So what is that gonna make the glass do? Expand even more to the point that, let's go ahead and read on, sir. Start from the top, Salakia.
Neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break.
Or it will break. So now, one way that you can, now break down this parable, not line with line, but give me the comparison with the wine in the bottle. What is the wine? We already saw what the wine was. The sister brought out that it's your thoughts. So what is the bottle? So the wine is your mind. But what is the bottle? Go ahead.
Your spirit?
La'ah. Go ahead, sis.
Would it be the body?
It's your body. So now so basically what this is saying right here is, if you start to take new information with the old body, you're going to burst. Essentially, in one sense, that's trying to fill a cup that's already full with new, with new water, with new wine, with new information. It's just going to continuously overflow, and that's still an example of bursting, because it's not containing what you are putting into it, right? Because not only is the new wine or information, pouring out and spilling out, but also the old information. You had something?
Salakia, sir. So also in this, the parable about the seed that falls on, is it a part of the precepts for this too? Because if you pour the new wine in something that's full, it just keeps flooding out, like you said. Or if you start taking a new process, but you don't apply anything, you don't apply what you've learned.
Okay, so this isn't necessarily the same, and I'm not gonna say, there may or may be some similarities between the two parables. I will say, ask that question again to an officer above me, or a captain above me, or a general, to a man above me. But in the context of which you are putting it, I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to say no, because this is talking about putting new information into an old bottle, and then essentially, as we'll read on, we'll find out the rest. But I'd like, since we know you smart enough to put two and two together, and for those that read on, you don't put it new into an old, and you don't, you want to put new into new, basically, right? With the parable that you're speaking on, that's basically speaking more so on foundation of whence a seed falls into. It's foundation and also environment, so to speak. But again, we'll get further clarification with a brother that has more seasoning than I do. You had something, sir? Salakia.
What she was talking about?
I mean, if you had something to put in for that, I thought you was about to raise your hand.
On what? bottles? What you talking about? What she said?
I thought you had some.
No, I ain't have my hand.
Oh, okay. All right. No, Salaki. Okay, so we're gonna read on from there. Else the bottles break. Go ahead.
Or else the bottles break and wine runneth out, and the bottles perish.
So in the bottles, they ain't no good. They gone. They done because they bursted. Go ahead.
But they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved.
So with that being said, going back to 2nd Ezra 14 and 34, what do you have to do for that new wine to be preserved in you?
Reform your heart.
No, because your heart is your what?
Your mind.
Is your mind. And in this pair, the wine is also what?
Your mind.
No, not your mind, but your
Thoughts.
thoughts, which comes out of what?
Your mind.
It comes out of your mind. You had something, sis?
Just that, if I'm understanding correctly, when your mind changes, that you need to apply the new changes to, through your body. You gotta.
What happens when you apply them changes to your body?
People see it.
Okay, but I'm speaking on the sense of how the Most High is going to deal with you, and also how Yahushai even perceives you in the first place.
You become new.
Give the sister a hand. You become a new creature. When you become a new creature, now you a new vessel. And now you are prepared for new what? You prepare for new wine. You prepare for new. Go ahead, young man. You got it. You have it. Don't doubt yourself. Bring it out. You're a new vessel. And you prepared for new what? You a new bottle. You are prepared for new wine. That new wine is new what?
New thoughts.
New thoughts. You prepare for, basically to actually change yourself. To truly change yourself.
That's right.
All right. So Salaki. We're gonna go back to 2nd Ezra 14, and then we're gonna go to 35, Baba Kashad.
God. For after death shall the judgment come.
So after death, the judgment shall come. Now we back on subject again. I know it's Salakia. We kind of sidebarred a little bit. But now, after death, judgment shall come. If you already did, and we already went over with the young man what he brought out, which was correct, heaven and hell coexist on one plane, that plane being the physical plane of earth. How do you fulfill judgment? How do you get judgment? Sis?
Because you have to die so you can be reborn or regenerated.
Right. So could you give me an example of you dying and then when you return, you receive judgment, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, what have you? Give me an example. Preferably, I want you to give me a scripture. Preferably. Because you can precept this. Now, come on, sis. You got it.
All things are passed away. All things become.
La. We'll give it a few minutes because the Facebook, the online is kind of behind. So we'll give it a few moments. Give y'all a little extra time to brainstorm amongst yourselves. Go ahead, sis.
So like this, sir, so the death that you're speaking of, I mean, there's a death that we actually physically leave this earth and go into the ground, but then there's a death where we come into the UPK. We died and we came into the UPK. We were reborn.
Okay, but we're
regenerated.
right now we're talking about a death of which you would receive judgment.
And that's the physical death.
So you physically died, right? How would you receive judgment after you already died?
Because your spirit has to face the Most High.
So like, is anybody watching YouTube? You watching it, sir? We got anything on there? Okay. So what about the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68? Who was Moses even speaking to in the first place? When he gave out what would happen if you don't follow the laws, statutes, commandments. Who is he speaking to in the first place? Go ahead. He's speaking to the Israelites. So how would they be put, Deuteronomy 28:48, how would they have yokes of iron upon their neck if they died before the transatlantic slave trade? How would they be transported on ships to go back into Egypt, which is the house of bondage, all over again if they had already died? Go ahead, young man.
Regeneration.
Give that brother a hand. Exactly. Because essentially that was them in the first place. And living out that curse. So again, for after death shall the judgment come. That is a perfect example right there. You just look at all of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68. If you fallen under them curses, which you are, so-called black man, Native American man, and Hispanic man, and women, of course, this is basically your judgment.
Right.
For what had happened in prior lives, because we wanted to follow after other nations, because we didn't want to do what was, we didn't want to follow the covenant that we had made, that was made with our forefathers with the Most High. So you know what? You don't want to follow the rule. It's just like, especially you black, Hispanic, Native American. You want to do what I say from your parent to you as a child. You don't want to do what I say. Okay, you're gonna reap these consequences. Oh yeah, you're gonna find out what happens if you don't want to follow my rules. So why is the Most High any different? That in itself basically tells you that we have that spirit of the Most High in us. We have that spirit of Yahushua in us. But as the scripture says, we stiff-necked people. We rebellious. We want to do our own thing. And that's why, brothers and sisters like myself kept on getting their tail behind tag. But anyways, moving forward. So 35. So continue on with that, Baba Shah.
When we shall live again.
Oh, hold on, man. I feel like we probably should have just finished that off. So we will live again. Heaven and hell is simultaneous on earth. We will find the judgment when we come back, when we live again. You look like you had a question. Did you have a question, young man?
No, so I'm just trying to find where
We're at the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, verse 35. It's in the Apocrypha. So on your app, it should be in green. The book should be in green. And in chapter 14, verse 35.
So
Go ahead, sir.
Except for that, do you have in your notes Ecclesiastes 3 and 16?
I actually believe I do.
Yeah, okay. Do you? Is that the one you was looking for earlier?
Kind, and I kind of, yeah, kind.
That's the one?
That's actually next after we finish this one.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
the water though, sir.
That was the one though that you was looking for earlier.
Kind of a kind. So that's actually next after we finish up 35. Go ahead and finish up that verse, Baba Kashai.
Salaki. And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest.
Salakia, look at the word manifest. Continue reading.
And the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
So the works of the ungodly shall be declared. In what way are they going to be declared? In what way, when you declare anything, what does it mean to declare something? Can anyone tell me, or do we need to look that up as well? All right, no sweat. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Go ahead. You got manifest? All right, go ahead and read that for me, Baba Shot.
Clear or obvious to the eye or mind.
To the eye, so clear or obvious to the eye or mind. Go ahead and look up declare, and then reread Baba Kashah, sir, and then shall the names. Reread from there again, Baba Kashah.
Declare means to announce, proclaim, to mean make known publicly.
Okay, so now we're gonna plug in both them definitions. Don't so hold on to manifest, you hold on to declare.
Mm-hmm.
You have it on your phone where we at, right? With the chapter and verse. Young man. All right, so make sure you holding on to that, but get that get manifest ready to go. Go ahead and read that again, sir, from and then shall.
And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest.
Be manifest. What does manifest mean?
To clear or obvious to the eye or mind.
So with that being said, and then shall the names of the righteous be clear. Be clear in what?
To the eye or mind.
To the eye or mind. For it will be clear who the righteous are for you to see and also to know. All right, now you switch over to the verse, and Salakia, sir, you switch over to declare Baba Kashah. All right, and then so you're gonna pick up from, so we're on verse 35. So 2nd Ezra 14:35, and you're gonna start from and then shall. Or wait, is that the right?
And the works of.
And the works of, yeah, Salakia. And the works of. Go ahead.
And the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
What did declare mean again?
Announce, proclaim.
So, and the works of the ungodly will be announced. It will be known.
Make
Proclaim
known
publicly at that. And who do you think that's even speaking on in the first place? We getting a very good taste of it right now. That sample is way better than the samples you can get at Costco. The little itty bitty ass little cups that they give you. You barely even taste the doggone Pop-Tart, whatever you get from them. No, we getting a good taste. You just being too simple. Go ahead, sis.
So, Salakia, so in the declaration, it is declaring the Israelites that are ungodly and also like the little hats that's running around ungodly, or just the Israelites that's ungodly?
It is the Israelites as well, but also who's going to be the main ungodly?
Esau.
You got Esau ungodly. Who else though? Esau ain't the only one. He the main one. That's just because we in Esau time right now. And, this is his reign of terror. Like we brought out in the very beginning, this is modern day Rome. This is his world. We just living in it right now. His world. It ain't his earth, though. It's his world. But who else? Who else ungodly? Doggone president that's about to get knocked off the seat. What was he calling this virus that we in the middle of? The China virus. The Chinese virus. I mean, hell, if you weren't sitting there eating bats in the first place, ain't nobody could even point the finger at you, right? Right or wrong?
Right.
Ain't it the same thing with us? You can't point no fingers at us if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments. If you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, what does that basically mean? In the context from what we just read, you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, that makes you. We just read it in the last sentence. If you not following the law, statutes, and commandments, you are what? Sir.
Ungodly.
So if you are ungodly for not following the law, statutes, and commandments, what are you if you are following the law, statutes, and commandments? Sis?
Righteous.
You're right, but that's not what I'm looking for, young man.
Godly.
You godly. Y'all see how simple this is in reality? Don't be like them, and you won't be treated like them. Where you got all these nations pointing the finger at, oh no, you messed up, no, you messed up, no, you did this, no, you did that, and that's why we got this, and that's why we got that. If you just follow the Most High, you know they point fingers over your head, and you just like, man, both y'all stupid as hell.
All right.
And then not only that, the best part is essentially they killing themselves. That's why in the ISUPK, there is no brother and sister that, you know, that's dying from the same stupid crap that they dying from. You know, Salaki, if I may just take a minute, we did have just, you know, what was it? It was sometime last year. We did have an officer who had passed, but it was not from no corona. It was not from cancer. It was not from police brutality. He was doing what he was supposed to be doing. And he got to die as a godly man. And may that brother rise in power. I pray that brother, you know, rises back up in the kingdom. I hope we finish our objective now before he comes back. But other than that, brother right there, and Salakia, so do you know his name? Like, okay, no sweat. But even before that, how often do you hear of a death in the ISUPK? I think I want to say the last one before that was maybe like 2 years ago, and before that was 4 or 5 years ago. You telling me that an Israelite in the ISUPK, basically only one of us dies every 3, 5, 8 years? What have you? But you got, you know, car accidents and whatnot. Everybody that's living in the world, you got car accidents. You know, somebody dies of a car accident every, what is it, like 25 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds? I mean, if that doesn't say anything to you in itself about what you are doing, you know, Lord be with you. I hope something brings you to your senses so that you can just understand the simplicity of just tearing away from that world, so that, you know, just to stay on topic as well, when you tear away from that world, not only do you actually get your, you know, not live your life the way that Drake and them, you know, be talking about it, but you get to enjoy this life amongst your brothers and sisters. But also when you return, you ain't got to worry about coming back with a cleft lip. Something terrible that you did in this life, you don't have to worry about, oh, just because you're on your deathbed, he like, oh, damn. That, you know, whipping them slaves' backs ain't ever going to get back to me. With that being said, before we go, we pull, you know what? No, because I got that for the end. So we'll revisit that thought.
His name, the brother name was Makatazar.
Okay. Oh, Officer Makatazar. Most High in Christ. So the brother that had passed, and may he rise again. You know, Officer Makatazar out of North Carolina. And may we always remember his name and the work that he put in for this school. I have yet to hear anything other than uplifting and positive things that this brother had done for this school. In the name of the Most High. And with that, you know, you already know this brother. I'm not gonna say you already know, but because of his works, the Most High is gonna see that. And what type of judgment do you think he will receive as a new creature? So in other words, this brother never sinned. We don't sin in the ISUPK. We are new creatures. We are new vessels with new wine in us. We are good from the time that you pop that cork until, you know, basically we guzzled down. We are drank. So we're gonna drop that, and then we're gonna go to Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. So now we're going to it, sir. Salakia. Actually, yeah, 3 and 15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past.
So that which hath been is now. I mean, how do we basically start off the class? How do we start it off? Talking about what and who in particular? Go ahead, young man.
Talking about regeneration for Israelites.
That's not what we didn't start off with that. We got into that in the beginning. But the first thing we started off with is what? I brought out Capitol Hill. What's the significance, even with this, about Capitol Hill? It ain't nothing new today, right? So which hath been is now. So in other words, what we got going on now has what?
This happened before.
It already has been. Ain't nothing new. Go ahead, sis.
And just to piggyback on that, they kept saying how there hadn't been a raid on Capitol Hill since the 1800s when they did that before in the 1800s. They ran up on Capitol Hill.
Okay, but regardless, though, if you ask me, that's just the modern day. What happened at Capitol Hill a week or two ago, that's your Confederacy in the 1800s. It's the same thing. I mean, the only difference is that's a shorter time frame for regeneration. It's the same spirit right there amongst them. It's the same vibe, that same spirit. You had something? No, all right. It's the same, it's still them. Ain't nothing different. They was upset that basically the slaves was being given more freedom. We'll just say that. Why do I say, or why is the slaves having more freedom then correlate to today? With Capitol Hill today, how does it correlate with Capitol Hill then? With the Confederacy? Go ahead, sis.
Is it because it's always about loss of power for them?
You're on it. You on it. Like you knocking on the door on it. Because if someone loses power, who's gaining power?
Israelites.
The Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are gaining power in turn. And that's why. So what happened in the 1800s? The first Capitol Hill storming. What happened then? What was going on then that got them all rioting and coming together and want to throw over the government and now we want to practice our amendment rights? What happened then to get them all stirred up then?
It was about the Israelites having power.
But how are they getting power then in comparison to now?
Wasn't that the abolishment of slavery?
It's the abolishment of slavery. Now, how do you correlate that now? And I'll give you a hint. It does concern the presidential election. What was different with this presidential election than any other election?
Because there's a black woman, so they skin tone wise.
That's not it, though. That's not it, sis.
Okay.
Do you think you know? Yeah, man. Okay, no sweat. I'm gonna give it a little, a few moments online to see if anybody will come up. I'm just looking for a certain cue before I start counting down. Sir, do you think you know?
What was the question one more time? Sorry.
So, what is the correlation between the Confederates storming Capitol Hill in the 1800s in comparison to today? The same spirit of those Confederates storming Capitol Hill today. And the hint that I did give was it does involve the presidential election.
You asking? I think you said the same thing twice. You saying that the people storming the hill back in the time of Rome?
No, no. No. Oh wait, no, it wasn't Capitol Hill then, right? Was it Capitol Hill in 1800s?
Are you talking about the last time they stormed when the Capitol Hill was?
Right, that's what I'm talking about in comparison to now.
So the both times was in America, though.
Right, kind. Now, of course, we know that there's still the same spirit.
Right. What is the difference, or what is the relation?
What's the relation? Now, Sis had already brought out that what stirred them up in the first place was that the Israelites, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans had they had abolished slavery then.
Right.
So what's that correlation with today?
Well,
in regard, because what it like I said,
right.
The hint is it stems out of
what
happened with the presidency of voting. Go ahead, sir.
So I would think the correlation would be with them feeling like back in those days, pretty much that they were losing their country to Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives, or if you want to say Black people or people of color. Back in those days, they felt, that the Israelites posed a threat to their way of life.
Okay.
So they stormed the hill the same way that they stormed it right now, because they feel like, without Trump, the candidate that represents them, you know what I'm saying, that pretty much they're going to be, they're losing jobs, they're losing their power in America. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like back in those days with the abolishment of slavery, you taking away you putting people that was once property, you know what I'm saying, and giving them the same rights as, them. I'm trying to, basically they're feeling like, Black people, people of color, or whatever you want to say, are equal to, are becoming equal to them, or the same playing field.
All right. You had anything else, sir? Anybody else want to add anything else on top of that?
There's I can't remember all these verses, but it's
real quick, Salaki. You check YouTube as well, Baba Kasha. But go ahead. All right, continue, sis.
So, would one of the precepts, and the last shall be first, because we're last right now, we're on the bottom. And are they? I mean, their fear is that their fear is that we don't take their country.
In that context, you can use that as a precept. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. Matter of fact, Israelite Princess, she had brought it out. She cheated a little bit. She knows how, but she said they think that they gave people of color an advantage of voting, which basically what is similar to today with the first time that they challenged the Congress and whatnot, where the Confederates challenged the Senate and the House of Representatives and the presidency, was when they were in the midst of abolishing slavery. So what happened with this past presidential election is now we're allowed to vote from home. Now think about how many more votes that we actually had from this past presidential election than we ever had before, that we've had recently before. Because what happens a whole lot when you're standing in line waiting for your turn to vote, and everybody has to show up to the elementary school, middle school, that school or that place of voting. There's always them extremists, or you better vote for, the Republican. You better vote for that Democrat. You better do this. You better do that. It puts pressure on them. But when you get to do it from the comfort of your home, you ain't got to worry about nobody screaming at you. And it's just, you know what? This is what I think. And mind you, before I move further at all, I am not in any sense condoning to voting in the first place. So let's let that be known first and foremost. Because the only person that, hell, all of us even want in power is Yahushua Mashiach in the Hebrew, or in English, Jesus Christ, our King. That's the only person that we want in power in the first, and that should be in power. But moving forward, now they feel like, these Edomites feel like they had a disadvantage again. But not even so much of being a disadvantage, but now they feel like someone is gaining power, and when someone gains power, someone loses power. So there's a power shift. And of course, they brought it out numerous times in Black Watch, and then also, a couple of the like Cross the Line radio and whatnot, on how there's a white dude who said to that black security guard, Esau said, "This is our America." It's their America. It's not yours. So, in other words, you black man, you Hispanic man, you Native American man, you just chose my president from my land. I'd be goddamn if a nigger, if a spick, a wetback, what have you, chooses my leader of this land of which I live on. So that's why Esau upset. Because they feel like these wetbacks and these niggers, our brothers and sisters, the Israelites, chose someone who to rule over them. And that's why they upset. That's why they stormed the Capitol Hill. It's the same exact spirit of which they had when we were in the middle of abolishing slavery. And y'all want to sit here and talk about slavery, or not slavery is dead. Racism is dead. It don't exist no more. It's 2021. Let's wake up and smell the flowers. Man, them flowers still reek of the blood of my brothers and sisters. The Israelites, God's chosen people, they are soaked and reek with blood of the Israelites that you spilled. You spilled our blood. That's the flowers that we wake up and smell every day. Moving forward. Was that it on 15, sir? All right. We're going to go to, now we're going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 31.
Did you not want to read 16?
I have 16. Let me check it out. Yeah, we'll read 16. Go ahead.
And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
Anybody want to break that down for me? Go ahead, sir.
It's talking about being this place under the sun is earth.
Okay.
It's the place of judgment.
Right.
And so
fact.
Pretty much, going back to what you said, when you come back to life, you know what I'm saying, you coming back to earth. It debunks the Christian belief in you dying and going to hell in the spirit form and you're being tormented in spirit. It's showing you that, you know what I'm saying, the place of judgment is on earth under the sun.
Right.
You understand?
God. No, exactly.
And heaven is under the salah, with the place of righteousness as well. So
What's that place of righteousness?
that's me.
God.
Which is our rulership when the Israelites rule.
Right.
In our kingdom of heaven.
God. Fact. Exactly. We're gonna drop that. We're gonna pick up at Matthew chapter 22, verse 31. Oh, you got it? All right, give me 1 second, and then you can go ahead and read it. Baba Kashab.
But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying,
Go ahead.
I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living.
So let's start from 31, the top of 31. We're at Matthew chapter 22, verse 31 to 32. That's what you was asking, sis? All right, kind of, no sweat. I'll give you a minute. You Tawab? You there? All right, Most High in Christ. So we're going to go to 31 and hit 31 real quick. First line says, but as touching the resurrection of the dead. I mean, so we basically already started debunking that nonsense that they speak about when, you know, you die, you could go to heaven, you go to hell. Which that in itself pretty much contradicts that Christianity theology already contradicts everything that the Bible says. That, especially from what we've already read so far, we haven't even gotten that far yet. But what we've already brought out is already contradicting it. Right? We've already established that heaven and hell is on earth. That, you know, you're gonna die and return back to here to seek out, you know, to see and see through your judgment here on earth. Whether that judgment is gonna be heaven or whether it's gonna be hell. So, for in the resurrection, what's the resurrection? Can anybody tell me what the resurrection is? Go ahead, young man.
Regeneration.
I mean,
When we come back to Earth,
or pretty much, yeah. The resurrection. No, you're right. But that resurrection is, you know, your spirit coming back to life to, you know, basically continue being that same spirit that you was in your last life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So again, your resurrection is you coming back. Not no, you know, what the Christians made it sound like, at least when, you know, when these things were broken down to me, and if I may, you know, just to kind of get into my, you know, my personal upbringing, you know, my mother's side, they were Mormon, and they made it, you know, what they were teaching in the Mormon church was that, you know, basically in the streets, there would be dead bodies and Christ would return us, you know, resurrect us like it's a video game where, you know, your body just stand back up. You know, basically the Walking Dead, you know, some zombie types. That's what, you know, that's what they pretty much put in my mind. It'd be some Walking Dead bull crap. And if you ask me personally, I much rather it. Of course, you know, the truth is better, period. But I mean, you mean I got to be brought back up with the same broken damn body that I got today. So when Christ come back and I gotta stand back up, I still got a messed up spine and my hips all messed up and my knees all messed up from the service I did for Esau's military at that. Like I gotta keep on pushing with that same pain. Nah, Salaki. I much rather just follow the truth in the first place and learn about the truth in the first place and know that this is temporary. It's just, and if anybody can pull that scripture for me, I appreciate it. But basically, this life is nothing but a blink of an eye. It's here and then it's there. It's gone. I believe it has blink of an eye in it. Let me see if I can find it myself.
Oh, yeah. 1 Corinthians 15:52.
All right, so let me get there real quick. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52.
Mm-hmm.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Now, what does that change? How does that change happen? Let's go back, or not actually go back.
Is that it, though?
No, that is the precept. But a precept, where that's coming from, you go back to book of Psalms 104, 28 through 30. More specifically, verse 30. Where it talks about how, our spirit will be sent back forth.
Right.
With life. That's the concept. That is you being conceived. So now, let's be real now. We all adults. That little hot moment of which, you do what the man does, what the woman does when we come together to basically, the same way that Yahushua was even conceived in the first place. A man and a woman coming together to conceive a child. That's Joseph and Mary. That basically happens in a blink of an eye. You do your business, you got your little brief moment of feel good, and that conception is pretty much right there. Because at that moment, it's pretty much decided, okay, you know what? You coming back. At that moment, you're going to start fulfilling your judgment. It's a blink of an eye.
Right.
Then, at that as well, think about how 1,000 years here on earth, and if you don't mind pulling that one for me as well, 1,000 years on earth is only a day to the Most High. Now, we ain't going to get all mathematical right now, but just think real quick, like how fast, that's damn near a blink of an eye. Think about how many times you could possibly live in a 1,000-year period. And that's just a day to him? 2 Peter
3:8.
2 Peter, Salakia. 2 Peter 3:8. So we're gonna go to 2 Peter 3:8. Go ahead.
The book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
I don't even know. That in itself pretty much, that sounds like that's a blink of an eye. What we living right now is just a blink of an eye. That in itself. You know what I'm saying? 31, 32. Okay. We finished 31 and 32.
What you talking about? Which one?
Matthew 22, 31, and 32. Did we read both of them? We did.
Matthew
I know we did 31.
20. What's the chapter?
22,
Verse 31.
verse 31. I know we read 31. Did we read 32?
La.
Okay. But, before we get into 32, like, that's what I'm saying. That resurrection of the dead, it comes vastly. Go ahead, you had something.
Yes, sir. I did read 32 as well.
You did read 32?
Yeah.
All right, well, I only broke down 31, so we're going to reread 32. Go ahead, sir. Whomever got it.
I am the God of Abraham.
Speak up.
I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living.
But of the living. So, we've already gone over regeneration. That regeneration does exist. That we basically went over how resurrection even works in the first place. And the Most High is only the God of the living. So if he's still the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, what does that mean for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob coming from? Well, we read about them in the biblical days. But what does that mean for them today? Yeah, man.
Not sure.
No sweat. That's why we keep on coming to class and you keep on doing your portion, sis.
It means that they're alive somewhere.
It means that they are alive somewhere today. Most High in Christ. So in other words, the Most High is still the God of the living. I mean, does Israel really die? We might pass to the next life. No, Khan says exactly. They are still on this earth. You exactly right. Just so y'all know as well, a lot of times that on Facebook and YouTube, your questions and or answers might get overlooked because there is a bit of a delay. I'm in the process of trying to figure out what the timing is. I'm probably going to get it actually narrowed down. Probably tomorrow I'll have a different answer. So come Thursday, I'll be able to release a time delay for y'all to actually understand, for the teachers as well, so that we all we all on the same page on even how long we need to wait if we're trying to get the online answers involved. That said, but yeah, so the Most High, Baba Kasha. That said, the Most High is still, he's always been the God of the living. That's the why. He's always been the God of the living, and those that he began his covenant with are still alive. In the sense that, Christianity teaches you they never died in that sense.
Right.
Because they still here today. They still walk and roam this earth. And hell, just on the sense of, I hope they actually enjoying what they can. They walking to and fro from this earth. Go ahead, sir.
And two, with him being a God of the living, that's two parts as far as, him being a God of those, who have that breath of life, which is the law,
Facts.
the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
He is the God of only those people, which are the Israelites.
Right.
Right. If you're not an Israelite, that through the scriptures, you understand, you're dead to the Most High if you don't serve, if you're not keeping these law, statutes, and commandments. You know what I'm saying? So he is the God of the living, meaning he's the God of those who follow his law, statutes, and commandments. But if you're not following these law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High is not with you. You know what I'm saying? He's not. This is a cut for all you Christians out there that say that the laws are done. You know what I'm saying? He's the God of the living. You understand? Meaning you got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, because the only way you can have life is through the law, statutes, and commandments. You know what I'm
God, if I may, you want to
pull a precept for that?
let's pull a precept for that in Genesis. You know which one I'm speaking of? I believe it's Genesis.
The breath of life.
Is it two? Is it 2 and 1, or is it 1 in the last verse about the breath of life? Kind. So it's 2 and 2. Now, mind you, as you all get there, the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 2. All right.
No, it's not it. Genesis 2 and 2 is not it.
I know it's in 2. Where does he receive the breath of life? Because I know 2 and 1, 2 and 2 goes into the 7th day. Find that for me, Baba Kasha. But with that being said, what I wanted to say was
2 and 7.
2 and 7. Okay, hold that real quick, and you know what I'm saying. So we're gonna go to Genesis 2 and 7. Now keep in mind what we have brought out. You said it was 2 Peter's 3 and 8, I believe you had said. Where we went over the time frame of what the time lapse is here on Earth to how long it is for the Most High. Check on learning. Who can tell me what the time frame is? Go ahead.
A day here is 1,000 years here.
La'ah. Anybody else?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
1,000 years here is a day for him. Sorry.
Okay, so how long did it take for the Most High to form the earth? From the time that he formed the earth to the time that he gave the breath of life to Adam, how much time was elapsed?
For us, about
And you can give me the worldly time. I prefer you give me both. But what's the worldly time and what's the Most High's time? 1 second. He got the floor.
I believe it was 6,000 years, so 6 days for him, I think.
So the Most High made the earth in 6 days. No sweat. Go ahead, sis.
So it would be 6,000 years according to man.
I said from the time that he made the earth
From the time he made the earth,
to when he gave Adam the breath of life. That was my question.
7 days, 7,000 years, or a great span of time.
Right.
It took 7,000 years, basically.
Not the exact time. So.
No, right. And that's one thing that you'll learn as well, is that especially the bigger and the greater the number in the Bible, isn't necessarily going to be, I'm not going to say accurate or inaccurate, but you know, if all of us being Israel, hell, we don't ever give an accurate time frame in the first place. If I tell you I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes, I might be there in 30 seconds.
Right.
For some brothers, that 5 minutes is 30 minutes.
Right.
But it's soon-ish. You know, that's just the way that we speak. And mind you, with the Bible, it was written by us and for us. So with that being by us, with regeneration in mind, we've always spoke the same way. The dialect, the word, the language we might speak might be a little bit different, but it's still the same way. We still speak with that same slang and whatnot. Go ahead, sir.
Real quick, I had a precept to the breath of life in Genesis.
Okay.
If I may, Ezekiel, the 32nd chapter, verse 4.
All right, so go ahead and hold that. But first, we're going to hit Genesis 2 and 7, and then we'll hit your Ezekiel. Or if I may, sir, you think we should hit Ezekiel first?
No, you didn't. I thought we just read Genesis 2 and 7.
No, we didn't read it.
Oh, we didn't read it?
No, not yet.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead and read that when you got it, sir. All right, whomever has it.
And the Lord God formed.
Speak up and start over.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
Uh-huh.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Uh-huh.
And man became a living soul.
Now start from and breathe again. Say that one more time. And speak up loud.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
All right, hold on. So like it, just real quick. I'm gonna show you a little something that I have learned in from watching the camp videos. You reading from your phone. Read like this. You know, you might not have the loudest voice, but speak up. So then that way, you know, the sound will come out. All right. It'll help. You know, it'll help for everybody to hear you. Go ahead.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
And man
became a living soul.
So now go up to verse 2 real quick.
And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made.
Start all over.
And on the seventh day.
On what day?
The seventh day.
On what day?
The seventh day.
So this is 7 days that already passed. Already 7 days already passed. And then God, what? The Most High did what?
Ended his work which he had made.
All right.
And he rested on the seventh day from all his work
So that's
which he had made.
All right, so that's already 7,000, 7,000, approximately 7,000 years that had already passed before Adam finally got the breath of life. Now with that, I will say, the breakdown as far as when mankind began to actually walk on this earth, we're not going to get into it right now because we are a little short on time. And I do want to bring, I want the officer to bring out what he was going to bring out with Ezekiel. But just mind you, and keep in mind with research, coming into the next class, or not necessarily the next class, but going into, whenever we go into that, for those of y'all that are watching and listening, just to get a quick little synapse of what I'm even talking about in the first place, you can go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 20. Is it 20? I thought it was 6. So you can go from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 24 to verse 26. And then I want you to pull that precept that we just pulled now, with as far as the 7th day when Adam actually got the breath of life. And I want you all, so you can say that's a little test on learning, but also a little homework, if I may. What was it again, sir? Ezekiel what?
37:4.
So Ezekiel 37:4. Sis, you had something that you wanted to add?
Sorry, if I may, for all the people who keep thinking that Adam and Eve were the only 2 people on the earth, 7,000 years or a great span of time passed. So, it was a lot of things happening on the earth in 7,000 years.
Right. Right. And, no, you are right. But that's also why I was bringing out First Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 26. And then in comparison, because we are, like I said, we already went over, the time frame, that the time comparison of Earth to the Most High, where one day for him is 1,000 years on here, right? And just a quick little, cliff note on 24 to 26. 24 begins the 6th day, of which is well the why can't I find it right now? Verse 24 goes into how the 6th day began, and by the end of that day, mankind was already put on that earth. Then we go into chapter 2, verse 2, as the young man just had already read, and that goes into to say that this is the 7th day. You jot down to verse, what was it, 7 or was it 8? 8. So verse 8, to Genesis 2 and 8. You go to 2 and 8, that's when Adam got the breath of life. So that in itself, one second, that in itself lets you know that, what the Christians try to teach you in these doggone churches, what Esau has been trying, the way that he's been trying to infiltrate us, 32. That's all. We're gonna get this last one, and then we're gonna finish it up, or wrap it up. Hold your point. You said it was 32 and
No, 37 and 4.
37 and 4. With that, that lets us know that just verses Genesis 1 and 24 through 26, and then you go to Genesis 2 and 2, and then 2 and 8. That lets you know that hold your point. That lets you know that what they try to teach us in the Christian churches is way and completely off. It's 2 and 7. All right, no sweat. So it's Genesis 2 and 7, no sweat. Now we're gonna pull the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse
4.
Verse 4. Go ahead.
Again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.
So first and foremost, let's just think about this just for a hot minute. We had already brought out how the Most High is, he's the God of the living.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna end it with this actually because of time, but I'm gonna finish this quick little breakdown. But the Most High is the God of the living, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We already went over and broke that down, that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, although we may not know exactly who they are today on this earth, we do know that they still walking on this earth, right? But also on top of that, if the Most High don't contradict himself, if the Bible don't contradict himself or itself, and this is a living and breathing book, and I'm speaking that in the same metaphorical sense that every single brother in this book has spoken in the first place. What does that mean, young man, that this is a living and a breathing book? What's that mean? The Bible is a living and a breathing book. How is this living and breathing?
It still correlates to today.
But okay, give me more details.
I guess you would say it repeats history.
Okay, sis?
It's living and breathing because it's in us and we are the body of the Most High.
Okay. You got anything, sir? I mean, the both. You got more to say?
I want to say that it lives and breathes through us, so to speak.
No, actually, no. Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Now, how is it that it lives through us and breathes through us? Give me more details on that real quick.
Because it talks about us and what we've been through and what we're going through now.
So with what you just said, that last bit, I mean, it's basically telling us what we went through and what we're about to go through and what we're currently going through, right? So in other words, this doggone thing don't ever die. Kind of a kind. So with that being said, just real quick, one last question. Those dry bones, who are them dry bones? What is those dry bones? Can everybody give me an answer? Go ahead, sir.
I want to say those who are pretty much who are without the knowledge and wisdom of the law, statutes, and commandments. Those who are dead to the Most High.
So with that being said, because we read Genesis chapter 1, or chapter 2, verse 7, before that breath of life was breathed into Adam, what would he be considered in correlation to this right here? You're right, sis. But in correlation, what would he be considered? Anybody got it?
What was the question again?
We read in Genesis 2 and 7 that Adam had gotten the breath of life. Before that moment he got the breath of life, what would he be considered in correlation with what we just read in Ezekiel 37 and 4? Go ahead.
Someone without the knowledge.
Without the knowledge of
The law, statutes, and commandments.
Give the brother a hand. Now with that, I'm going to pass the class to precinct officer, Officer Bakar, and yeah, kind. Still got to work on that spot.
We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, a teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and the sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21, Malachi 3, 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew. Mike Sharah. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, a free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations is the Feast of Purim, which is February 25th through the 26th. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, class dismissed.